We are going to talk about graphing lines in standard form. When we graph lines in standard form, there are two ways that you can graph a line when it's given to you in standard form. I'm going to show you both ways in the first example, and I will try to do that in all the examples. So the first way, when you look at standard form, this is standard form of a line. You have ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are all numbers, and x and y are still the same. So you'll notice that x and y are on the same side. We can't graph immediately from this form using slope because our y is not by itself. So the first step would be to get y by itself if we want to graph it that way. So I'm going to show you an example here. So if I have, let's say I have 3x minus 2y equals 4. The first way or first method to do this would be we would subtract 3x from both sides so we can get y by itself. We'd have negative 2y equals negative 3x plus 4. And then we would divide by negative 2. And we get y equals 3/2 x minus 2. Now we are in y equals mx plus b because y is by itself over here. We have our slope, which is 3/2, and we have our y-intercept. So if we come over to our graph, we would graph a point at negative 2, and we would count up 1, 2, 3 to the right 2 because it's positive, and we do that 1, 2, 3 to the right 2 one more time. And then there's your line, and you can go ahead and connect the dots if you wish. My line's not going to be very straight, or you can leave it as just points. So that's the first way to do it. The second way would be is if we kept it as 3x minus 2y equals 4. Let's go ahead and go to a second page actually. So I have 3x minus 2y equals 4. And the second way is to plug in 0 for x. So we get 3 times 0 minus 2y equals 4. So this would be 0 minus 2y equals 4. And then divide by negative 2. And you get y equals negative 2. So the intercept is what we call it, is 0, comma, negative 2. So we would graph that point right there. And then we would do the same thing, and we'd plug in 0 for y, so 3x minus 2 times 0 equals 4. And we get 3x minus 0 or plus 0 equals 4, and then divide by 3. So we get 0, I'm sorry, not 0, we get 4/3, comma 0. So then we'd have to come over here and we'd have to look and see, okay, 4/3 is 1 1/3, so that might be right here. And if I can get my dot, and then we would connect those dots. So that one gets to be a little bit tricky, especially if your intercepts are not perfect like this one. So when we have 4/3, comma 0, that's really hard to graph. So it might be easier to do this method here where you solve for y for everything so that you know it's going to work out. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with this first method here of solving for y. It's just easier in the long run. I know that finding the intercepts, plugging in 0 is faster, but it doesn't necessarily always give us a perfect graph. So let's try another one. Let's do negative x minus, let's go plus y equals 6. So I'm going to add x to both sides. This one was really easy. Y equals x plus 6. Then we're going to graph. Remember, this is my y-intercept, so that's going to go at positive 6 on the y-axis. Okay, and then this is my slope, which is 1 over 1, so it's positive, so I'm going to go up 1 and to the right 1, up 1 and to the right 1, and so on and so forth. And then I can connect that line if I want. Or remember, you don't have to, but remember you need to have at least 3 points. Let's go ahead and do another example here. We're going to do, let's do negative 2x minus 4y equals 8, negative 8. So we're first going to add 2x to both sides, so we need to actually make sure that we can solve for y first. So we get negative 4y equals 2x minus 8, divide by negative 4. When we do that, we get y equals 2 over negative 4 simplifies to be negative 1/2 x. Negative 8 divided by negative 4 is plus 2. So if we put a point at our y-intercept at positive 2 on the y-axis, and then our slope is negative 1/2, so we're going to count down 1 and then to the right 2. Remember, if you go down first, you've already taken care of your negative slope, so you don't have to go to the left. And then there's your line. So I want you to try this one on your own here. So we have, let's do negative 4x minus 3y plus 3y equals, let's go negative 9. Okay, so I want you to try that one on your own. And then I want you to try this one on your own. So negative x minus y equals 2. And that is how you graph a line in standard form. Remember, you can use either option, but it's probably better to use the solving for y option because, one, we need more practice with that always, and because that one always comes out with perfect numbers for us to graph.